everybody, I'm Miss Alene. Thanks for joining us again for Kids Corner on Armstrong Cable channels 20 and 100. Today we're at South Range Elementary School and we've got a very fun, pants-tastic, dino pants-tastic, aliens and monsters show for you today. So stay tuned for our 2 stories and our very cool aliens in underpants, well, dino pants, art project. Hey everybody, how are you today? Good. I want to say hello, I'm Miss Alene, and thank you all for inviting us here today at South Range Elementary School for Kids Corner on Armstrong Cable channels 20 and 100. So we're going to have some silly fun today. Everybody ready for that? Yeah! Me too. Who here has ever seen a silly monster movie? Who here has ever seen a silly alien movie? Well, today it's all about monsters and aliens and very silly things. So let's get started. What's something that you can tell me in all the fantasy movies that we've seen about aliens and monsters that comes to mind? What do you think of when you hear silly monsters or silly aliens?
That they aren't really true.
Okay, that's a good one. They're fantasy. They're something that somebody made up and they just made a really silly looking something so that we could all go, wow, that's a really silly looking something, isn't it? How about you?
Whenever I see like a monster movie, just a monster movie, not an alien movie, I always think of the book, Monsters Love Underpants.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna come back to that. And if you've read this book, don't give it away, okay? But one of our books today is Aliens Love Dino Pants. That's kind of silly, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so if you've read it before, don't give away the end, okay? No spoilers here. How about you?
I watched some Monster Inc. and there was a little girl and the big blue monster dressed her up as another monster.
Yep, sometimes we have movies or things where people dress up as aliens or monsters. Has anybody here ever for maybe Halloween or costume party dressed up like an alien or a monster?
No.
No? Okay. First, let's hear about a couple more things that you think of when you think of silly aliens. What do you think of when you think of silly aliens? You right there with the blue shirt.
I think when I think of silly aliens, those aren't true. Those are just fantasy.
Yeah. What are some of the things that sometimes they look like? You right here with the yellow shirt.
Well, sometimes they're like rainbow and they have silly eyes that are in different places that you're not supposed to.
Sometimes they have a lot of silly eyes or one silly eye that's in a funny place that's not like ours, where we have like one here and one there. They might be covered in eyes, or they might have 4 eyes, or they might have 3 eyes in a row, or something silly like that, huh? How about you?
When I think of like silly aliens, I think that they're like different colored, like because some of them are like purple, orange.
That's true. Very true. How about you? Oh, go ahead. But then next time, let's hear from somebody I haven't heard from yet. Go ahead.
Some of them can be shapes.
Some of them can be funny shapes, right? Some of them can be squares or big circles or triangles, all sorts of funny things. Or a rectangle. Huh?
Or an oval.
Or an oval. How about you in the back with the green shirt?
And then all the monsters that are really big in movies, they're people dressed up in costumes.
That's true. Sometimes they're actually even robots that somebody made and then covered up in something that looks like a mask, and it's controlled with a remote control. Sometimes it's a person in there in a movie that's dressed up and they do their makeup and stuff to make them look like an alien. That's very good. So we've thought about some very, very funny things. How about some monster stuff? What do you think of when you think of a monster? A silly monster, though.
Funny.
Funny. Okay, how about even a scary monster, but not too scary?
I get a little creeped out sometimes.
Mm-hmm. What's something that they sometimes look like? You back there.
They look kind of weird.
Yep, they can look kind of weird.
Like a bug.
Sometimes they look like bugs. Yep, big buggy monsters. You with the gray shirt.
And sometimes they can look like sometimes hairy.
Hairy sometimes. Even the aliens sometimes look a little hairy, right? Somebody I haven't heard from yet. You right there with the game something shirt.
They can look like they can look tiny.
Sometimes they can be very tiny. And that's even funnier when they're actually scary and they're very tiny, right? Okay, somebody I haven't heard from, 2 more people, well, 3 more people. You right here.
They can have like a lot of eyes.
They can have a lot of eyes. How about you with the white shirt?
Well, whenever I think of monsters, I always think that they're like hiding somewhere and they just jump out.
Yep, sometimes they're hiding and they just jump out. And you with the yellow shirt?
Sometimes they're really big in movies.
Yep, sometimes they're really, really big. Okay, let's hold our monster comments for a minute and let's go ahead and get started with our very, very silly first monster story. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right. And you know what's the funnest thing to remember about monster movies and monster things? And sometimes our imaginations go crazy on us and we think there's a monster in the closet or under the bed or something. Guess what? It's not real. It's make-believe. It's our imagination. There's nothing there. True. All right, so here's a very, very funny story. And it is called The Monster's Monster. And it's by Patrick McDonald. Anybody know who this guy is? We've seen him in stuff before. Can you tell me? Frankenstein. It looks like Frankenstein. He might not be Frankenstein, but he looks a lot like him. So maybe he's Frankenstone or something like that. But he looks just like Frankenstein to me. And then we've got three and a half little guys here, don't we? So let's see what happens in Monster's Monster. Grouch Grump and the Little Gloom and Doom thought that they were monsters. They lived in a dark castle, high atop a dark monster mountain, overlooking a monster-fearing village. Their little monster heads were always filled with big monster thoughts. Smash, crash, bash. Huffing and puffing, mad about nothing. Their 10 favorite words were no, 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 no. Did I count 10 yet? No. No, and no, that was 10. And no! Every day they argued over who was the biggest, baddest monster. Who could complain the loudest? Who could throw the most terrible tantrums? Who was the most miserable monster? And sometimes, what they're describing about monsters sounds a little like when people get grumpy or not so nice, doesn't it? They want to throw tantrums, they want to say no, they want to get grumpy and complain and be loud and just throw a terrible tantrum. So we're going to find out, are these monsters really monsters, or are they just trying to be monsters? Who It was the most miserable. Their debates always ended in a brawl, and a brawl is just kind of a fancy word for a fight. One day, they decided to settle their argument once and for all. Grouch got some tape, tacks, staples, and glue. Grump found some gunk, gauze, and gobs of goo. Gloom and Doom grabbled blots and bolts and wires and the smelliest old shoe. Together, they would make a monster, a monster's monster, the biggest, baddest monster ever. They hoisted their creation into the stormy sky where, bam! A lightning bolt sent a powerful jolt through their creature. The monster started to twitch. He's alive! Alive! The little terrors exclaimed. The monster roared as he stumbled around, tearing away his bandages. Big! Little Gloom squealed. Bad! Little Doom squeaked. And monster! They all cheered together. The growling giant reached towards them, and then, in a deep, booming voice, he said his first words. What do you think they're going to be? Thank you. He crushed them to his chest with a tight squeeze. He hugged them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Monster wiggled his stubby monster fingers and tapped his clunky monster feet. He looked around in wonder and threw open a window, the room filled with warm, early dawn light, bird songs, and dewy fresh air. Monster smiled, and he let out a little giggle. Monster bounced about the room, gently greeting the many bats, rats, spiders, and snakes around him. No, 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 shouted the group. You're supposed to be a monster. But Monster didn't think he was a monster. He didn't think he was anything. He just thought he was there. And he was just him. He didn't think he was anything but thankful to be alive. Monster became still, sniffing a hint of sweetness in the morning air. Suddenly, he let out a roar and smashed through the dungeon wall. Ha 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 ha! Grouch laughed. He's finally coming to his senses. Yes, yes, shouted Grump. He's off to make mayhem in the village. Mayhem is mischief and trouble. He's going to smash, crash, and bash, cried Gloom and Doom. The rascals dashed after Monster, trying to keep up with his long strides down the mountain. Monster, Monster! They cheered after him. The village bakery was opening for the day when Monster plowed through the front door. Goodness, what is going to happen? Grouch, Grump, and Gloom and Doom anxiously waited outside the shop, peering through the dusty window. Big! Whispered Gloom. Bad, whispered Doom. Shh, shh, begged Grump. I want to hear the howls and yowls. He thinks people are going to be screaming in there and he wants to hear all of that. There was a tense quiet, and then finally, from inside the bakery, they heard, "Thank you." Monster appeared, clutching a white paper bag. Then he turned and headed out of town toward the beach. After him, the trio cried, "Monster, Monster!" Monster slowly knelt down on the soft, cool sand. Grouch, Grump, and Gloom and Doom collapsed in a heap around him. As they tried to catch their breaths, Monster gently patted his heads. Oh, actually, he patted their heads. He carefully opened the bag and gave them each a warm powdered jelly donut. Grouch, Grump, and Gloom and Doom were speechless. Means they didn't know what to say. But then they remembered what their big bad monster had said. Thank you. Monster looked at them and smiled. They smiled back. And together they all started to giggle. Grouch, Grump, and Little Gloom and Doom and their new friend sat quietly on the shore watching the sunrise. And the seagulls playing, and the sea grass dancing, and the ocean glistening, and no one was thinking about being a monster. Did you guys like that story? So, our monster surprised us, didn't he? That's not what you usually think about when you think about monsters, at least not big ones that look like they're gonna be bad and grouchy. But this monster was very nice, and he taught his little friends to be nice too, didn't he? And what did he like to say when he was being nice? Thank you. Everybody together. Thank you. I like that story a lot. And now for our very, very silly aliens love dino pants. Dino pants, what are those? Let's find out. And this story is by Claire Friedman and Ben Court. A band of pants-mad aliens zoomed down here when, surprise, bright lightning hit their spaceship, bang, and hurled them from the skies. Crash landing in the thick jungle. Whoops! The aliens gasped, oh dear. But their pants tracker was bleeping. How could underpants be here? The aliens trekked through tangly trees, the signal getting stronger. Through slimy swamps, down deep ravines. Could they go on much longer? Let's find out. Bleep, bleep, yippee! They'd found them. Those aliens are so clever. A stash of such gigantic undies, each pair could stretch forever. We'll take these pants, the aliens laughed, but roar! They heard loud roars and found themselves surrounded by ginormous dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were furious. Hands off our drawers, they roared. We'll fight you pesky aliens to save our precious hoard. Why does everybody like underpants so much? Okay. The aliens almost fainted. Dinosaurs? This can't be so. You dinos were wiped from the earth pants zillion years ago. We hid down here, the dinos said. The humans didn't see. We saved our pants, but couldn't come out. We wish we could roam free. We all love pants, one alien cheered, so there's no need to fight. I have a plan to get you out and save you from your plight. And plight is troubles. Those busy aliens got to work with laser tools and saws. They hammered, welded, chopped, and drilled, helped by the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. And ta-da! A super dino pod to launch you into space. We'll take you to our planet, Zoom, a most fantastic place. Our new home's great, these dinos said. There's underpants for all. it's fun, the games that can be played with pants both huge and small. And so when your laundry's on the line, quick, guard it on the double. With aliens and dinosaurs, there's twice pants stealing trouble. That was a silly story, wasn't it? What are aliens and dinosaurs gonna do walking around in underpants? So, did you guys like that story? Yeah! Pretty silly, huh? Well, now it's time for us to make our own space-tastic, pants-tastic aliens with dino pants. Ready? Yeah. All right, let's go. Is what we are going to make today, our pants-tastic little alien guys. So we're gonna start by making sure that we have an arm. So we're gonna leave about that much sticking off. So if you can see what I'm doing, I've got one finger holding my fuzzy stick. You're gonna use the non-sparkly fuzzy stick, and you're gonna kind of go about a little less than halfway down. Now you are going to start wrapping your fuzzy stick around the back and then come around, and you're going to keep it one under the other. You can take your arms and bend them so that they stick out on the sides like that. Need their very pants-tastic, sparkly pants. So we're gonna take the fuzzy stick that's sparkly, and we're gonna do the same thing underneath the first fuzzy stick. So you're gonna start wrapping it around, and you're just gonna go down and down. And this one doesn't have to stick out on the sides. This one you just wrap all the way around. On top of where you've got your arms sticking out, anywhere you'd like. You can put it down here, you can put it up here. As you see, my guy's kind of got it right up at the top of his head. Our next step, you're going to take your glue stick and you are going to, towards the top, rub some glue on the back of your stick. And then you will take your feather on the back, not on the same side as the eye, put the glue on the back of your stick, and then place your feather on the glue part so that your hair for your googly guy sticks out. everybody. Thanks again for joining us for Kids Corner on Armstrong Cable Channels 20 and 100. I'm Miss Alene, and we had a lot of space-tastic, pants-tastic, alien, and monster fun today here at South Range Elementary School with the first grade class. So until next time, we say goodbye.